are right. We really are honored and privileged to have President Barry with us this evening, especially with what he has done to elevate Rotaract and make Rotaract our partners. Yes, I was really, really humbled to work under him at the foundation. He's an amazing leader, and truly, we are all really privileged to have him with us this evening. President Barry, greetings to you and Esther from Kenya, and you are with one of the very special clubs at Jabali. It's one of the clubs which is most vibrant, most energetic, very innovative, and having met them during their formation and a bit later after they were chartered, these clubs really, really make us very, very proud. Jabali takes the cake on all of the fronts because they've got great leadership, they've got great projects, and they're amazing young people. This is the future of Rotary. Jabali is one of those clubs that is going to drive Rotary to the frontiers that we're looking at. Thank you, Kennedy, for having me, and look forward to listening to President Barry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gita. Welcome, Past President Barry.
Well, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be with the Rotary Club of Jabali. You have a reputation, and you're fairly new in the Rotary world as a Rotary Club, and yet you're doing all the right things to be a strong club, and that's really important. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be with you. I greet all your leaders. And a special shout out, of course, to my friend and past trustee, Gita Manik. It was, she represented you extremely well as a trustee of our Rotary Foundation. You should all be very proud of Gita and all that she does. And I think it's a great title that you have tonight, Daring to be Different in Rotary. And truly, this is a time when we all need to dare to be different. We can't just be sitting back doing the same old, same old. We've got to be thinking different and thinking, how are we going to take our organization where it should be? We are the best humanitarian organization in the world. And that's not just me talking. That's outside agencies evaluating what we do and how we do it, how we spend the money, how we control our administrative cost. Outside agencies tell us, such as Charity Navigator, they've given us now 17 years, 4 stars out of 4 stars, and rate us at 100% for the last few years. And that's through intensive research of what we do and how we do it. So we should, every one of us, be proud that we're a part of this organization. What I thought I'd do is talk a little about why we need to be different, and then give you some examples of how we really have done some different things over the years. Perhaps not quite enough in some areas, but certainly we do dare to be different. And it comes from individuals like yourselves who say, we've got to do something different. We're going to do this. And then you set about doing it. That's all it takes is one person. One member of our organization can bring amazing change to the organization. And never forget that, because each and every one of you have that potential in you. That's where our changes come from, as I'm sure you all know. We talk about membership development, membership growth. It is so important to engage every single member of our clubs. If our members are engaged, they stay with us for the long term, and they participate in what we do. And unfortunately, we lose 150,000 of our members every year around the world. And that's because we're not engaging them. They leave in the first year or two because we're not engaging them. And we say, many clubs say, well, we're trying. Well, if you're doing the same thing year after year trying to do that, then clearly you need to dare to be different and do something different. You know, that is the definition of insanity, when you say you're going to do the same thing and expect different results. We can't be doing that. We've got to think different if we're going to engage our members. If we just kept all our members and engage them in what we're doing, our organization would grow and grow fairly quickly. We just need to stop that outflow of our members. And that's where we really, I think, is the most important area where we need to start thinking differently. When it comes to service projects that we do, are we thinking big enough in our local Rotary clubs? There's so much the world needs now. We all know that. We all listen to the news. We know the problems around the world. If every one of our 47,000 clubs was doing just a little more, we would have 10 times the impact, if not more, on the world and the people in the world who need us and need us pretty badly right now, because there's a lot of problems and people feel very isolated. We need to be the ones to reach out. We need to think differently about our service projects. Make sure we're impacting the right amount of people. Make sure that our projects are sustainable and really answering the local needs, not just doing something we want to do, but something the community actually needs. And to do that, we need to dare to make change. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we need to be doing as leaders in our, and every one of you are leaders in your community. So certainly with membership, with service, with the Rotary Foundation, we need to grow our donations to the Rotary Foundation. And it's not just for the sake of donations, it's for the sake of what we can do with the funds that come in. The Rotary Foundation spends millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars every year on doing good around the world. But imagine if we had more funds coming in, we could do even more projects through our global grants and district grants and disaster grants, et cetera. We have a potential. We do, and have been rated as the best humanitarian organization. As I said earlier, LinkedIn rated us in the top 3 organizations in the world for doing good. And that's true. But imagine if we had twice the amount of money we have. We could do so much more good. So those are areas where we need to think about doing different. But over the years, we have done some things. I mean, look at polio eradication, mid-80s. And this started from a Rotarian. In the mid-80s, we said we are going to eradicate a disease that is crippling children around the world. To me, that's daring to be different. And a lot of Rotarians, oh, we can't do this. But they jumped in and we doubled our initial ask as to how much funds we were going to raise around the world. Doubled them, because Rotarians know a good idea when they see one, they support it. All they need to do is hear from our leadership that we have great ideas and great thoughts and great programs that can make a difference. And then we jump on and we make a difference. So polio, I think, was gigantic in making a change in our organizations, but around our world as well. So that was certainly a very beginning of that. The programs of scale, I'm sure you've heard about. It's right a lot on the continent of Africa. Zambia has done so well with our first program of scale of reducing significantly malaria that we've now expanded that to other countries. And our partners, and this is really important part of what we do, our partners, the Gates Foundation and World Vision, have said, we think Rotary has done such a good job with this. We each want to give you another $10 million so you can expand the program. So we went from a $6 million program in one country to a $30 million program in 4 or 5 countries. That's significant. That's thinking bigger. That's thinking differently. That's opening the door to partnerships. And I think we all need to be thinking about who should we be partnering with so we can make sure that our funds that we have raised can go even further than they ever could have gone before. That's really important. So I'm a believer that part of our thinking differently, part of our looking at change, is looking at what partners we should bring in. Just recently, a committee of Rotary International recommended to the board, and the trustees, that we open the door in a very proactive way to raising funds outside of Rotary. We're always asking you as our members to raise money and to donate to our Rotary Foundation, and that's important. We each need to feel a part of what we're doing, but we also need to open the door to outside organizations, big corporations who are looking for ways to spend their money to do good in the world. Why aren't we asking them? As Rotarians, you know who in your community you could reach out to. That's an opportunity to dare to be different. Go to the biggest company in your country and say, we're Rotary. We know how to spend your money and do good in the world. We know you have a responsibility to your community and you want to show your community that you are part of the community. Well, we can help you do that as Rotary. And that's where we step up and we do a little more than we've ever done before. So, and we've continued the program to scale from malaria in Zambia to Nigeria, where we have a reducing maternal and infant mortality, and that's working. We don't have statistics yet, but that's working. To Egypt, where we want to eliminate cervical cancer. Now to India, where we're coming up with a brand new way of farming so we can conserve the water. The water can go further. The farmers can grow more crops and feed more people. I mean, it's such a fantastic way to use our funds to make a change in the world. So I think our programs at scale is really an opportunity to think differently. And you think about polio and what we've done with that, and look what they're doing in Pakistan. We have one Rotarian who said, we want to get rid of polio in Pakistan. And unfortunately, it's not quite gone yet, and we've got to get to zero. Don't ever think that we can just get down to a low number and stop. We have to get to zero. So they're working hard as the Rotarians in Pakistan and Afghanistan, the only two endemic countries left. But in Pakistan, one Rotarian told the Taliban he wants to meet with them so they will stop shooting people and allow us to vaccinate the children. That's a Rotarian daring to be different, truly. And he did meet with the Taliban, and they did agree to put their arms down so we could reach every single child in the country, 45.6 million children. And we did it. And today now, instead of shooting our health workers in both countries, they are serving as our security for our health workers in Afghanistan. I mean, talk about how Rotary can make dramatic change. And that was one Rotarian speaking to the right people at the right time. One Rotarian, one member of our organization. Imagine the impact that has on making change. So in polio, we, in so many ways, showing how we can dare to be different. But so many other places we do the same. In Mexico, the Mexican Navy offered to give us a ship in Rotary to sink in the ocean desert on the west coast of Mexico, because there was nothing alive in that part of the seas. All the reefs, etc., were dead. They offered to give us a ship. The Rotarians said, okay, we'll get a global grant so we can do this. And the Rotary Foundation struggled with that. They'd never had a request before to be part of sinking a ship to create a reef in the ocean. But after talking and explaining and understanding how that fits into our areas of focus so well, but different, that they agreed. So we got a global grant and we sank a Navy ship. And within 6 months, when the divers went down to look, they already see fish. They already seeing it turn into a reef in a part of the ocean that hasn't had fish in decades. That is daring to be different. In Haiti, the local Rotarians in Haiti and the districts surrounding it, 10 countries in the Caribbean, they determined that we need to bring water to every citizen of the country. They have to have access to water. That's a basic need for all of us. Some of us, we just don't even think about it anymore. You just turn on your tap and you have water. Others struggle and can spend a day getting enough water for their families. And in Haiti, that's what was happening. Only 35% of the country had access to potable water. So Rotary set about putting in place a program to bring water to everybody. We know it's going to take over 20 years. We know it's going to be over $2 billion. But once we set that path, we know we can make it happen. We've seen it happen with polio, and locally, they're doing it in Haiti to make it happen. And it's happening. Lots of problems in Haiti. They have gangs, they have violence, they have a lot of crime, they have difficulty going from city to city because the gangs are controlling the borders. And yet, one citizen in that country, seeing what Hand Wash, our program in Haiti, is doing, made the comment that the only program left in Haiti that gives us hope is the Rotary Water Program. Imagine that. It's a country of 10 million people, and they hardly have hope anymore, but Rotary is bringing them hope. And yeah, it's going to take years. It's going to be difficult to do, but we're going to get it done. One step at a time, one well at a time, one irrigation system at a time. That's daring to be different. That's daring to be big and think big and not just look at one community, dig one well and walk away. That's what we might have done in the old days. Today, we don't do that anymore. Today, we make sure that we're doing something that's going to last for the long term. And that's really important. In Taipei, Rotary put a global grant together to give the fire department an ambulance and to get the critical care equipment, both for the ambulance and for the hospital it used. By doing that, they were able to transport more patients and provide the critical care equipment that they needed. And when I met with the chief of the fire department, and they're the ones who run the ambulance service in the city of Taipei. When I met with him, his comment was that they had already, within the first 2 years of having the ambulance, they'd moved 7,000 patients from wherever they were to the hospital. I mean, that's gigantic by itself. But the real key was that with the critical care equipment, and critical care equipment was given to both hospital and ambulance so that there was identical equipment. So literally, when the patient's coming in, they can unplug off the ambulance and plug in the hospital. And that saves lives because there's no delay in that time of being on critical care equipment. But the key outcome said by the chief of the fire department was that they had reduced mortality from heart attacks by 50% just because of that grant. Think about that. That's daring to be different. That's addressing a serious problem and then doing something about it. Another example in the Philippines. The Philippines, the Rotarians realized that there was a long list of people waiting for dialysis. In this day and age, dialysis, it's a lifesaver, but you've got to get it to save your life. So they put together a program where they built a building just for dialysis. They put together a board of directors made up of Rotarians. They hired a medical staff director who's a Rotarian. And they opened this up. I believe there was 20 beds just for dialysis. And today, there is no list of people waiting for dialysis. Think about the lives that they've saved because now it's accessible. Now people can get the need that they have when they have kidney problems. That's critical. Another example in Madagascar, our vocational training program, we sent a vocational training team with a global grant from India to Madagascar. 17 surgeons of all various specialties went to Madagascar to provide surgery. That's surgeons, as you know, they leave their office, they leave their revenue. They have no money coming in during the time they're gone. They took 60 cases of supplies with them, medical supplies, surgical supplies. So they had what they needed there, but they also could train doctors there and leave them some of the supplies that they would need. And while in Madagascar, it's a 2-week program, but of course with travel time, 8 days of surgery. In that 8 days, they did 3,500 procedures. Okay, 3,500. I was even asking when I was there, I see a couple of doctors are missing from breakfast and lunch and dinner. We'd meet every day, breakfast and dinner, just to talk about the day. The doctors missing wasn't they were missing or they were sightseeing. They actually went to the hospital early and stayed late so they can do more patients because the need was so great. And now they've trained these surgeons locally so that what they started will continue in the long term. Again, you just imagine the lives that are now going to be saved in that country because of one global grant. It's truly incredible what we're doing as an organization, but it means somebody thinking of doing that. I mean, past President Raja Sabu, he said, we need to do this and do it every year, and he makes sure it happens. He's now 90, and yet he's still thinking about how to do the next vocational training team that it will impact. And I'm sure he's been to Kenya in the past with a VTT. But that's the kind of programs that really make a change. We do a lot of projects with and programs with the children around the world. And I always remember a child in Malawi when we were there visiting the school where Rotary had put in with a global grant 2 toilets and a water pump for bringing water to drink and water to wash their hands with. And the amazing part of that was that there's 4,000 students. Now they had 2 toilets, which is wonderful, but wow, only 2 toilets for 4,000 students, 38 teachers, big classes, didn't have a lot of furniture for the kids in the classes. And as we're talking to one of the classrooms where there's probably 100 children in there, they were so happy that we were there. And one of them came up to me and he pointed to my Rotary pin. And he's probably a little 11-year-old boy. And he said, I know people who wore that pin are the ones who brought us toilets and water to drink. He says, I know people in other countries who wear that pin also were able to help. And that's true. He obviously knew it was a global grant. There was 3 other countries involved. And there was, I believe, 6 Rotary clubs involved. And he knew that people who wear that pin, that Rotary pin, are the ones that helped him and all of his friends now have a toilet that's accessible to them. And he said, I'll never get a chance to travel, but as you go around and you meet people who have that pin, please say thank you for us for changing our life. That's why I do what I do. And that's why Rotarians around the world want to keep doing what we're doing, reach more people, reach those people we'll never see, we'll never meet. But we know that we're helping and changing their lives. And they know, because when they see a Rotary pin, they smile and they say thank you. So I thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being a progressive Rotary Club. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you for continuing to inspire others, not only to join, but to support all the things that you do as a Rotary Club. It's been a pleasure to be with you. I look forward to one day being back in person. Kenya was one of my favorite countries to visit, and Rotaract was one of my favorite meetings. A lot of people ask me, what was the best place you ever visited? What was your favorite? And I always tell them, well, I loved them all. But the one that was most memorable to me was when I was in Kenya and the Rotaractors said, we don't want to meet you in a conference room. We want to meet you on a walk through the Karura forest. And that was an extremely special time to walk a couple of miles into the forest, a couple of miles back, and listen to Rotaractors and all the dreams and the desires and the honest thoughts about what Rotary should be. And that was a big help to me to help Rotaract move and be elevated. So a big thank you to all of you for what you do. A big thank you for helping me to understand where we should be going as an organization. And I wish you all the very best. And if you have time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, President Barry, for sharing that, and just as with our topic, it's truly inspirational to hear what Rotarians are doing globally, and I can confirm, as Barry is speaking about his experience in Kenya, he's not just saying it to make us happy because he's visiting Kenyans today. I think SK was country chair for Rotaract that year, and he was serving in the committee. It was Rotary UN the committee, and I can tell you Barry enjoyed it. I know he's being shy to speak about the party at Village Market, but I can tell you, I think 3 years ago, I had a chance. We were in a committee with Barry, and we were somewhere for 1 week. And the moment he saw me, that was the first thing he brought up. So I know he had a beautiful experience in Kenya. But as we speak about that, and as we speak about experiences and just Rotaract, we are so privileged today to be joined by our young club information, Rotaract Club of Jabali, and we are really excited about what they can do. But Barry, you changed the dynamic on how Rotary views Rotaract. What was the thinking behind it? And to the Rotaractors here, what do you want to inspire them to do?
You know, what I saw was that Rotaract was a program of Rotary, which meant that they're thought of simply as a program, and Rotary clubs would say, okay, I'll start a Rotaract club, and then you got to go do your thing. And it wasn't, and what we had was young individuals from 18 to 30 who were leaders in their community, who were thinkers, who really understood service, and yet we weren't properly working together. Rotary Club would ask them to do the work, but not involve them in the leadership. And I thought that was wrong. What I wanted to do was to make sure Rotaractors individually felt that they were an integral part of this organization, just like a Rotarian. We're all members of the same organization now because the council legislation made that change. And you know, and that wasn't hard to do, that wasn't easy to do. There were members of the council who were opposed, and the first vote actually didn't pass. But that gave me an opportunity the next day to actually stand up and make another speech about why it should pass, and it did. And where we need to be thinking today, and now we've followed that up with a lot of changes in Rotary to policy to be sure that Rotaractors are considered on a policy level equal to Rotarians. You have the same access to everything from the Rotary Foundation to grants, membership development, starting clubs. Rotaract has all the same opportunities that Rotary clubs have. What we haven't gotten to yet is the actual change of the culture. So what I'm asking is Rotarians and Rotaractors to actually think and ask your clubs how you should change the culture of the club to be more open to our young professionals, to be able to work closer with our young professionals. To a Rotary Club, every time you have a program or project and you have a leader for that project, a chair, have a co-chair who's a Rotaractor. So bring them in as leaders, bring them in as thought inspirers so that they can bring thinking to Rotary as to what we can do as an organization and what we can do better. Because young people think differently than us old folks, okay? And you guys are dynamic, you are innovative, you are so creative, but you want to do things a little differently. That's good. So you got to have the courage, and I know that's difficult sometimes. A number of 30-year-olds trying to tell a number of 70-year-olds how to change. I know in my part of the world, that's tough. But have the courage to try that, to have that discussion, because I think that's what Rotary needs to hear is what we need to do differently. And what we need to do is step back and listen to our young professionals. So we've come a long way, but I think we've got a ways to go with changing culture. And that's always the hardest part of any change you make. With your help, I think we can make that continue to grow.
Thank you so much for that. I will invite for questions on the chat, and then I'll be reading them as you speak. But I have some questions that we collected beforehand, just to touch on them. So, question here: beyond your year as president, you went ahead and started and served as the chair of Shaping Rotary's Future. How is that coming up? And what is in it for us as Rotarians in Africa?
That's a hard question to answer because the Committee on Shaping Rotary's Future was very progressive and really thought very carefully. What we were asked to do is, if we were to start Rotary today, what would it look like? Well, as you know, when you start something 120 years after you started it, it's going to look very different. So we put together some recommendations for the board of directors. Some of them as examples. We said we need to regionalize. For instance, Africa could be a region that could do some things differently than a region like the United States. Not losing our core values. All of us have to stay with the core values, but have a board that oversees the regions around the world as opposed to one board overseeing the whole world, because we all have different cultures and we can do things differently and still do them in the Rotary way. So one thing was have a regional thought process, regionalization, and they're still working on that particular one, and they're trying to do some testing with it. We also suggested that one of our weaknesses is that our assistant governors need to be stronger. They're the ones who work with a handful of clubs and can really spend time with the clubs to help them understand their strengths and weaknesses, and then help them to develop their weaknesses and keep their strengths. So we wanted to elevate assistant governors or area governors to be able to be stronger in the districts. That didn't go over so well because some thought we were trying to eliminate district governors. And for the district governor who's here, we weren't trying to eliminate them, but we want to change their role. We want the regional board to have more authority, the district governor to have less, so they have time to do the things they need to do. There are districts with 200 clubs that they have to oversee. I'll give you a different example. My district is 10 countries with 94 clubs and 53 Rotaract clubs. How does a district governor continue to work and see their family and visit all those clubs? It's almost impossible. We need to do things differently. So again, we want to take things to the assistant governor. So those were the key differences that we wanted to bring. The Rotary board said, well, that's too radical. Obviously, we can't make that change. But what we did do is take to the council legislation the opportunity to start 2 pilot programs to try out all the ideas from Shaping Rotary's Future. So Zone 8, which is Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands, is in that trial right now. And we hope, not this council this year, but the next council legislation, they'll be able to bring a report back how it worked. Also, Great Britain is also a trial. They're doing it very differently. So I'm not sure, but I think Zone 8 is really going to give us an opportunity to learn from doing things differently. So those are the kind of things we did from Shaping Rotary's Future. Very dynamic committee, and made some great recommendations, perhaps ahead of our time, but I think over time, more appreciation for what we had, the need to change. And I think that's what will come forward at some point in time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for highlighting that. And I think that is very new information, especially to most of the Retractors and Rotarians attending this call. And it's just a good listen. And it's a good time to mention that we are also queuing up hosting Chair Jennifer in Q4. So maybe Jennifer will let us get a bit of an experience around what is happening in Australia and the experience around that. So there's a question on chat from Fred. I work in Kibra, the largest slum in Africa in the health sector, where there is limited health access. As a Rotarian, what are some of the approaches and strategies to involve more Rotary clubs and bring change in the health sector?
You know what I think first thing is to identify what are the needs. And then you can't answer them all at one time, but choose something in what those needs are. They have limited health access. So you could think about a mobile van that can go there with a particular emphasis on some part of health. It could be eyes, it could be a general practitioner, it could be a wellness person. There's lots of opportunities, but think about how you can bring health to them as they don't have access. And as I say, a mobile van is one way to do it. The others could be how do you provide transportation back and forth to wherever the nearest health is. But you want to take something to them and bring it there. Why do they not have access? Is it water? Is it food? Is it the very basics that would then help them not to need more health access? So you really got to analyze what the true needs are, get to the core of the true needs, and then determine what a Rotary club can do to help them. So it takes a lot of analysis. You don't just jump in and do something, but really analyze what the need is and how to resolve it, and one step at a time. So to relate it back to Haiti, where we're bringing water, now when we bring water to one community, we can start talking to them about what else can we do? Now your children can get an education, so can we help with that? Now your women can be entrepreneurs, can we help with that? But you got to start in one place and let it grow from there, at my opinion.
Thank you. You got to serve as Rotary's president. Did you ever see yourself as a Rotary president? And how was that journey to getting to that inspirational role?
Well, I have to say it's a very difficult journey to get there. And no, I never saw myself as Rotary's president. I just tried to be a really good Rotarian, tried to do the work, tried to do the service. If Rotary, my Rotary Club, my sponsor always told me you can't say no. So if anybody asked me to do something, I said yes. So I took on the job, community service chair, fundraising chair. We have a long way to get to president, third vice president, second vice president, first vice president, president of the club. Then a couple of years later, I became district governor. And then I really, I did work for my district only for about 10 years. And one thing about Rotary is if the leadership, the global leadership doesn't see you, doesn't know what you do, then what you got to do is do work in your district. Eventually you may get seen. I was lucky because I was the district trainer for 10 years. And as I was training one particular year, past President Rick King was our president's rep. And he saw me train and asked me to be an international trainer. And that's how I took the next step up. If he hadn't seen me, I never would have taken the next step. And I never thought about taking another step, to be honest. But then from there, after being a trainer, and I was trainer 2 years, and then I trained the trainers for 3 years. And then after that, then I was elected to be governor, and then, of course, eventually elected to be president. It's not an easy journey. It's not a short journey. To me, it's all about working hard for Rotary. And so people will notice that you are working hard, you're getting the job done. I took on, after when Haiti had their earthquake, I took on happily the project of helping the Rotarians in Haiti to help their people. And we did 105 projects post-earthquake. And that caught some attention. And I had to go around the Rotary world to raise funds. We raised $6.5 million. But something necessary. And it was about doing the job and doing the job as well as I possibly could. That's what I think all of us should be doing. Because we have a lot of potential leaders who don't get to where they could be in Rotary because there are so many. Highly competitive. I watch districts elect their next the next director, and I see the competition is fierce. Really good people trying to get those jobs. It's really something. I see one in my own district who wish he'd been a director years ago, but it's just so much competition, it's hard to do. So you got to stick with it, keep working, don't ever give up, don't ever get frustrated. Just you keep working to make our world a better place.
Thank you. So back to the chat, I know you've touched on it a bit, but there's a question on how does daring to be different for you mean, and particularly in the context of Rotary, and how would this look like in the next 10 years? And I want to combine it to the next question, where Alpha says that anytime he listens to you, it brings out memories of your work as RI president, especially for Rotaract. He served as president of his club then in 2018-19. And as you rightly said, there are still traditions we have to challenge to truly reflect these changes. He notices that most of the Rotary International committees have barely more than 1 Rotaractors in the committees. If Rotary International committees do not quite reflect the change, how can districts reflect those changes?
Well, when you think back to where we started 5 years ago, there were no Rotaractors on those committees. Daring to be different says convince the Rotary world that our international committees all have to have Rotaract represented. So we've gone the first step. I think all of our committees now have a Rotaractor, a young person who's there to give their opinions. I think that will continue to grow over time, but we've got to give it time to get there. And what we have to be thinking is what would make our organization better? Not, do our traditions in our club, do we really need them all? Is there a tradition that you're doing that you don't need to do anymore? Is there a way, give an example, in this part of the world, a lot of clubs, the part of your fees for the club, your dues for the club is to pay for meals every week. Well, young people can't afford to pay for meals, especially if they're not even there to get the meal. That to me is something we need to rethink in many parts of the world. Are we meeting at the right time of day? Daring to be different says you ask your club, is lunch really the best time to get members here, get us here, get our members, get new people? People are so busy these days. Is it better to meet right after work instead of in the middle of the day and take 2 hours from your job? Some of us who've been working a long time have that opportunity. It's much more difficult for young people to do that. So I think you got to start with the very basics of your Rotary Club and ask yourselves, is this the right way for us to be working? And certainly when you bring in Rotaract, you should include Rotaract in everything you do. Every Rotary Club should be including Rotaractors in everything you do, working together on the Rotary Club committees, as well as on Rotary Club fundraisers, Rotary Club service projects. We just had a softball tournament with our Rotaract Club last week. So the young Rotaractors played against us old Rotarians. And once again, they beat us, but maybe next year we'll come back and beat them. But the point is, you get together, and part of this relationship is getting to know each other. If the Rotaractors really knew and felt comfortable with all our Rotarians and vice versa, then we'd do more together. And then you'd guarantee that the Rotaractors would transition into a Rotary Club when they're ready. And that's part of what's been the problem is the Rotaractors, when they age out of Rotaract or when they're ready to move, they don't see a Rotary Club they want to move to. So as a Rotary Club, you have to ask yourself, are you relevant to today's young professional? When a Rotaractor looks at your club, are they going to say, oh yeah, I want to be a part of them. I want to work with them. Or do they say, no, they're boring. They don't have good meetings. They don't do a lot of service. I'm going to do that somewhere else. Be honest with yourselves as a club. And I think those are the things where you really dare to be different.
We just had a bowling tournament with the Rotary Club of Jabali, and unlike you, we beat them unofficially. So hopefully they are organizing another tournament to take back the crown from us. So as you speak
you're
about
refusing to mention you practiced for 2 months.
We are highly competitive in Rotary.
Yeah, certainly. So the final question here on my end, unless there's another that pops up, is for those of us here today who are still growing as Rotarians and Rotaractors, how can we better carry the vision of Rotary into the future?
It's a good question. We have to, again, think of the basics. Who are we as an organization? And it's not about the minor conflicts we have at lunch. It's not about the meals. But to me, it's a lot about fellowship. We really need to get to know each other and to work together. The more we do that, the more long-term that we're going to sustain our clubs. We have to really be engaged with what we're doing. We have to think differently. There's a book called The Radical Leap to Leadership, which I follow a lot for leaders. And I think LEAP is an acronym. L stands for love, because we got to care for each other as leaders in your club, do you care for the other members of your club? And it goes to the argument, are we a membership organization or a service organization? In my opinion, we're a membership organization that does great service. That means you take care of your members. You care about your members. Somebody doesn't show up for a couple of weeks. Does somebody call them and ask them how they're doing? Are they okay? We miss you. That makes a gigantic difference. The E in LEAP is for energy, enthusiasm. We've got to show the enthusiasm. When our community sees us enthusiastically going about doing things and making change and helping people, they want to be a part of it. When our members see a leader who's enthusiastic, they want to join in your passion and also be enthusiastic. The A is for audacity, and that goes back to daring to be different, daring to bring change. Be audacious. Think of bigger things. Think of things that could help your club, even though it's never been done before. I love doing things that's never been done before. People raise their eyebrows, people think, and then a year later, they forget that that was ever not done before because now it's routine. So we always do that. And the P is for proof, but really that's all about leading by example. Each and every one of us we have to go to the club projects. We have to go to the club. We have to do the fellowship. We have to share ideas. We have to lead by example. When we do that, others say, wow, if he or she can do that, I can do that. And I want to be a part of that. So I think there's so much potential. And if we really work together and try to be thinking differently and thinking about the best way for the organization to go forward, we always keep that in mind. And I think in 10 years, we're going to have twice as many members and we're going to do twice as many projects around the world. And that to me is what counts. To me, all those little stuff that annoys us, frustrates us, drives us crazy, I'm sorry, but it's all about doing good in the world. And if I know that I and my club are doing good in the world and in my community, then I'm good to go.
I see final question on the chat. President Tereri is asking, what next for Barry Rassin after being a Rotary president? And let me also add the fact that you've also been chair of the Rotary Foundation. So what next for Barry?
Yeah. Keep in mind the job of Rotary president is really a 7-year journey. So you come in, you're president, nominee, president-elect, president, then a trustee, then chair. Normally, everybody doesn't get that, but normally. So it's 7 years. My 7-year journey ended last July. And my wife is asking me, how come I'm doing so much Rotary work this year when the job is over? Well, what happens is you then get invitations, such as today, to speak to our members. And I think that's really important. I love what our organization does, and if I can help to inspire others to do more, then I'm going to always be doing that. There's no more jobs to do. There's no more functions, but I want to stay involved and I want to work hard for my club, which I'm trying to get to know my members again. I've been out so long. So working with the club and doing our local projects, but also giving advice where I'm wanted to give advice about how we can do better as an organization. I'll always provide that, whether it's wanted or not sometimes. But I don't stop. My wife would like me to do a little less, so I'm trying to stay home a little more. But certainly I stay involved. I'll be in Calgary too. If anybody's in Calgary, please come say hi.
Thank you. Before we do the vote of thanks, and I want to President David come out to prepare for that, I want to put my favorite district governor, Azeb Asrat, on the spot. Azeb was the district governor when you were chartered 3 years ago. Azeb, listening to Barry Rassin, how do we bring this message home? How do we localize it in our district?
Thank you very much. I was really keenly listening to past President Barry Rassin and also the questions that were being raised. I think it's very important that we bring the youth up front and to be involved as well as to be engaged especially, their engagement should not be superficial, but rather, practical, by putting them in district committees, in club committees as well. It is so important, because when the young are in the platform, it's very easy to project, what needs to be done for the youth and for our future leadership. So, his experience sharing about the foundation and what needs to be done and so on and so forth. All these are very critical points. They are pointers to put on the agenda and for us to move forward, because we district officials as well, the seniors, we are responsible always to put up, the youth needs up front. And, I think, in my opinion, the mentorship, the involvement and engagement that is needed to bring up, the youth will be very, very critical. By the way, in Ethiopia now, right now, my involvement in the youth is growing every day. I know that the future of Rotary is in the hands of the youth. Unless we prepare them now, we may not be able to do it after it is late. We have, like Kennedy, Sam, and so on. We have really key young generation within the Rotary family, like Abanezer from Ethiopia and others as well, McConnell and so on and so forth. So these are the people that we should put a focus on, to bring them to the right platform in terms of their engagement and, leadership possibilities. So I feel that that is the biggest responsibility that we Rotarians, the seniors, have.
I'm still in the meeting.
Thank you.
Give me 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, past District Governor Azeb. At this point, I want to invite, I know probably this could be the first meeting is being referred to as a charter president-elect. Yeah? Dexter, David Kamau of the Rotary Club of Jabali. They just had their club elections, I think 2 weeks ago. But and as I introduce him to come and do the vote of thanks, let us also recognize that he's also an international Rotary leader. He serves in the Young Leaders Committee at Rotary International level, and we are super proud of him and super proud for him to have a connection with our lovely club Rotary Jabali. Dexter, over to you to do the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rotary and Gaia, and the district leadership who have been around and who have shared quite a lot of wisdom. I am actually really inspired. One of the words that has been really used today is the future of Rotary and inspiration. And I believe we all have been inspired to be the change and be the future of Rotary in different ways. I think we have to acknowledge the opportunity that has been given to us as Rotaractors and young leaders in Rotary, all thanks to the initiatives that have been rolled out ever since Barry Rassin was president. And we are very thankful to have had you, past President Barry Rassin, to have talked to us and actually inspired us to do more and to do it in the right way, and also to clear the path and show us how we can be the future of Rotary. So thank you so much, and we look forward to implementing all this, and also probably seeing you one day soon physically again. We might have been younger then, but we hope to continue with what we began. So thank you so much. And thank you, Gaia and Rotary Jabali, for giving us this opportunity to join you and to learn together, as well as all the district leadership members who are present, as well as to the young, vibrant Rotaract Jabali for always being supportive and joining in the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, President Dexter. Allow me to recognize a few faces that are present. Allow me to recognize the members of Rotary and Rotary Club of Freetown in Sierra Leone. I saw a number of them joining in. I saw past DRR from District 9101, Alpha Algali. Thank you for joining us. Allow me also recognize immediate past Rotact Africa MDIO President Constance Jayola, who is also present with us this evening. And I don't know if past country chair Rosie is still in the meeting. Allow me also to recognize her presence and all the other leaders. I'm just trying to look around. We appreciate all of you. Allow me also appreciate all the Rotarians from Jabali and all the Rotractors from Rotract Jabali also for joining in and making this session possible. And allow me to recognize all the other visiting Rotarians and Rotractors for taking their time to join in on this session. And as usual, a special place and having a dear place in my heart. Thank you so much, Trustee Gita, for being with us and sharing this meeting with us. At this point, I'll hand over the meeting back to our President, Emmanuel Terer. President Terer, back to you.
Thank you, Gaia, and thank you, Barry, for the quite insightful thoughts. And I mean, even whatever you said will apply in our lives, even away from Rotary, daring to be different in our families, at work, in whatever we do. It's good that if we dare to be different, we'll really experience the magic of Rotary and the magic of our lives. So thank you very much. So at this juncture, we had planned to Emma Tay, are you on call? You can take us through the SAA session and we can hear from the members how the session was. Barry, you can still hang around for a few minutes.
Sure.
Emma, are you around?
Hi, yes, I am.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
I'm assuming the SA session for Rotary is the same as the one for Rotract session. So we're gonna have a.
Barry just said we are one, so.
So we're gonna start with the happy dollar session. The dollar is 100 bob or 1,000.
It's 100, Bob. It disobeys the rules of market and everything. It's always kept at 100 for ease of computation and ease of giving. So yep.
Good. So we're gonna start happy dollar session.
I'll just project the payment details on the screen.
Yeah. So yeah, who's happy? Who's not happy? No, we don't want to hear who's not happy. Purely happy dollars here. The floor is yours. Wait, you guys are not happy? Or you're typing somewhere?
Also keep checking in the chats. They may be, you can type in the chat, you can raise your hand, you can shout, you can. So yeah, Emma, there are happy dollars in the chat. You can read them out.
Yeah, I can see 10 happy dollars from Kennedy Gaia. Thank you, Barry, for being an inspiration. Senior Gaia Victoria. She's just Wendy. Rotaracta Wendy, she's from Rotaracta Jabali. That's our charter treasurer. Yeah, she has 2 happy dollars too. TJ from Rotaract Jabali again. He has 3 happies. We missed you, TJ. Good to see you. There's 10 happy dollars listening to Barry and making up at Jabali. Yeah, keep them coming, guys.
To add to Emma's call, you can open your mics and give us a view on how you felt. As there's some airtime here.
Samuel Karanja has given 10 plus for PP, but he inspires us to action every time.
You can also check if there are any hands up, or if you feel like calling out someone to speak, please do so, Emma. Emma, are you still with us?
Oh yes, I had muted myself. Sorry, I was reading Rotarian Francis chat. He said 10 happy dollars. It's always amazing listening to past President Barry as part of your Karura walk and also part of the Rotary UN Day After Party Committee. Great insights. We see you, Francis. I feel like there's people I haven't heard them speak. Sam, where's your dollar? Wait, there's two Sams. Sam Gigi.
I spoke when I was correcting a guy. I've already suggested what you should do about it, but I'll remove two happies because of what you'll do about it.
Maybe also, Sam, you can invite us for an after party and we see what you can deliver.
I might not take up the challenge, but I think the Rotary UN Day after party is the greatest after party of all after parties. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Sam, but I was not speaking to Sam Karanja. I was speaking to Sam Mwaura, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Now that you've
more after
spoken,
parties.
we'll find you, and we'll make sure we'll give you a role of organizing an after party one of these fine days, given you have the experience.
I've also seen someone, wait, SK is saying great focus on no, dollars. Stop commenting, dollars only now. I've seen someone that I knew from Nyeri, Rotarian Samuel Kamwana. Yeah,
Oh,
say hi
wow.
and give us something.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to have joined today. And I also joined Sam giving 10 happies. Yeah, happy for joining today.
Happy to see you too. Who else?
Just a reminder that the payment details are on your screen.
Yeah, still number 977-1775. Doesn't
It's
cost
free
you
of
anything to send
charge.
money. Let me call out who. I haven't heard Rosie Vainaina speak. Hi, Rosie. Okay, I guess she's not on call. Michelle Bosire. Hold on. Emmanuel, I'll hand over the meeting to you. I think PP Barry is
Okay,
leaving.
I think, all right. Thanks a lot, Emma. And as Barry leaves, we are so grateful you've heard from the horse's mouths that the session was great and insightful. We look forward to seeing you at some point, and we hope the point will have an after party and we can continue celebrating. You always say a fellowship without food should be a Zoom meeting. I mean, just for today, but the next time we are meeting physically, just make sure there'll be fun and all the goods that comes with it. So I think Barry has now left, and we are all, well, I almost said we are all right. We are all left on call, and it's nice seeing all of you attend today's call, and we've learned uh, we've learned a lot, and of importance is, you know, to the Rotaractors around that indeed